I welcome Krysten and Heather from OnDesign Interiors. They are the ultimate team when it comes to short-term rental designing, and they've been pretty big in the industry. They've been doing it for a good amount of time, and they are personally our interior designers for our projects. And the projects turn out really well. So I wanted to bring them on the podcast to really talk deeper about how to really stand out with design and how to utilize design to actually get more bookings. So welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal job for us. Even though you guys are remote, that was my biggest concern. And you guys have just been killing it. I've realized that you don't need somebody on site to really pull off a full design as long as you have the guide to really put all the pieces together and all the decor in the right position. Exactly. And there is a lot of coordinating with that. But I will say this personally, design has, for myself, been the critical aspect of why my properties in Joshua Tree are not failing as bad as the other ones are. Yeah. So there's so many people that are struggling in Joshua Tree right now. My properties are not. And I think a big reason for that is because of design. And it catches eyes, it gets bookings, it gets good reviews. Design is one of the most important elements, and I'm willing to spend $50,000, $100,000 in design because it really does make an impact. Before we go into the rest of design and impacts and cool tips from you guys, can you guys maybe talk about a little bit about how you guys got started, a little bit about your backgrounds?
Sure, I can start. So I do have a background in Airbnb. We launched our first Airbnb 4 years ago. It was a small chalet in the mountains of New Hampshire, North Conway. And then things got a little crazy. We went from 1 to 10 to a boutique hotel in Rockport, and it just kept going. We then launched another hotel in the North Shore, north of Boston, 2 years ago that we manage. And right now we have 45 properties and we have 55 coming in about 3 weeks.
Is that a new hotel?
Our newest hotel. So this will be our new baby for the next 12 months. So huge renovation. And like you had mentioned, design is crucial, and especially in the markets that we host in, anywhere from New Hampshire down to the Disney market. These markets are so saturated, and that's how our listings stand out. We design in a way that we're adding pops of color, we're making it immersive, we're providing that guest experience that you're not really getting at some of the local properties. And especially at the hotels, and we researched the market, and in some of the hotels, the designs just don't pop. And we design in a way that we say, okay, the Airbnb photographer is going to stand here in this bedroom. What can we do on this wall? What can we have on the forefront of the photo? And we design accordingly.
That's awesome.
Yep. In my background, we actually connected by doing property management on the residential side. So a lot of experience with managing apartment communities. And then we grew into the marketing side. And from there, we did a ton of interior designs for the properties. So we were designing like community rooms, amenity spaces, and it still has some of the same principles. You want to stand out online. You want to make sure that it's editorial, but you also want to make sure that it's a great experience when you're standing within the spaces. So that kind of transferred right on over. And we definitely bring the marketing aspect into our job every day. We do a lot of market research. We do a lot of digging in to see what will stand out and make everything unique, because we want your success as much as we want ours. So it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
100%. So let's talk about design. Why do you think design is so important for short-term rentals? Now more than ever.
Yeah. I'll let you check.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece is really everybody looking for a unique experience. And also we're living in an age where social media is such an important thing. So it's not only these decisions of the vacation I'm going to have, but how am I going to remember that vacation? What kind of pictures am I going to get out of that vacation? And who am I going to tell my friends what I experienced when I was there? So I think it's such an important piece from that aspect. It's how people are making decisions on what they want to do, where they want to go, and what they want to experience when they're staying there.
And from the moment they walk into the space, depending on the layout of the home, we almost always have an entry Instagram worthy spot. So whether it's a succulent wall with LED lighting, or the sky's the limit, a chair lift, ski lift, depending on what the market is, we do it. We just did a custom for a golf themed home. We did a custom golf course on the wall with the name of their Airbnb. So we certainly have fun with it. So
So let's talk about the customer that books. From my understanding, I've actually read a few articles that mention that women tend to be the people, just through data, that are booking for the family trips, for instance. So a lot of people are saying, hey, you should be appealing to the woman's eye, in the sense that they'll more or less, maybe stereotyping, but they're pretty much going to see all the little details that maybe guys won't see and don't think it's a big deal, but it is a big deal. Can you talk about that? Is that true, or?
That's a good statement. I would say we try to be as gender neutral as possible, but that doesn't mean you can't step into using coral and pink into some of our rooms, because we certainly do. If it's a market where we know it's, for instance, a golfer's Airbnb, obviously that would be a different style, but typically we try to stick with bright whites for our main walls, but pops of color. And we always joke that all of our Airbnbs have blue or teal, 50 shades of blue, and then a contrasting color. And that's what makes it pop. So it's okay if the contrasting color is pink or yellow. It doesn't necessarily have to be completely gender neutral. We design in a way that you can be so creative. And if you want to put wallpaper on the ceiling, you do that. If we want to do 3 to 5 pendant lights as opposed to 1, we can do that, because it just gives it that extra wow as part of their experience.
100%. Is there a specific area of an Airbnb that needs the most design attention?
We like to focus, I'd say, having your one wow bedroom, because people always they're on vacation, right? They want to dive and to do their back dive into the comfy bed. So that's the first, but also the common area spaces. I always want the living and the dining room spaces to have that cohesive flow, but never neglect the outdoors. And especially, you can talk to this, people go on vacation and they may want to have dinner outside, al fresco, and having that twilight shot. We always try to maximize the design on the outdoor space, because we know that the photographers can capture either the sunrise or the sunset with your cafe lighting and any other cool elements out there, some glow LED chairs. And that's such a wow moment as well.
And really creating those unique amenities and building them in. It can be anything from a coffee bar, but all the way up to a cowboy pool. So building those into, I think, is super important.
I think it'd be really interesting. Maybe we can go through the design process and use my property as an example. I just came back from the property on Barron Drive in Yucca Valley. It's got a nice view in the backyard. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Let's talk from start to finish in terms of research you guys do, and how you guys pick out everything, and how everything gets finalized. And let's just talk about each step of the process. I think it'd be really interesting for people to get in the head of a designer and see how they're thinking, how they position everything for a brand new listing with no furniture.
Exactly.
Sure.
And Heather actually led that particular design.
Yeah.
So you can take it.
Yeah. So one of the first things we do is we always take a look at the comps in the area and see what people aren't doing or are attempting to do, but maybe not doing well, and looking at how we can address that. I also will look at hotels in the area, what is the attractions in an area, and what your demographics are. So who are we trying to draw in? Who are we trying to attract? And from there, create something that is aesthetically complementing the location, but also, again, unique and bringing in kind of those elements.
Yeah. Do you remember what the customer that you guys picked for my property in particular?
Yeah, I would say the demographics for yours are definitely going to be, I'd say, road trippers that are going to be coming out of the city and wanting a little change of atmosphere. People that are going to probably be into the outdoors, into some healthy living lifestyles, but also that kind of boho artsy vibe as well. So that was the client that we were really trying to tap into.
So you build for that client profile. You have to understand the client that's going to the area before you can even design the place.
Exactly.
And we have that custom avatar in mind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a blended role, and you'll see, particularly in this design, actually,
Yep.
different aspects of the home take on a different avatar. And there's also a lot of carryover. This house certainly could help with families, but also you're going to have your bachelorette, your bachelor, or that 30th birthday weekend away. But it's also with the pool, with some of the outdoor amenities and the way the layouts are in the interior, it works for families as well.
Yeah.
100%. And okay, so now we've done all the research. We've looked at all the comps in the area. We like what we see. What's next?
That's when all the fun happens, I guess. Magic happens.
Yeah.
So that's really where we take pen to paper and let our imagination run wild. We'll do we have several preferred vendors that we'll usually try to tap into initially. We have great relationships with a lot of vendors that we can take advantage of some great discounts, which is always great. So from there, we'll go through and source individually. We'll take a look at each room and come up with its own color scheme, its own inspiration. A lot of times we start with the wall covering. It's a huge way to make a big impact, especially again, editorially and in your pictures, but it also creates that full statement art piece that we can kind of balance everything off of from there. And so we'll go space by space and really creating these unique experiences and colors and layering all of that together. We put together a very detailed packet for our homeowners. We lay everything out. We even do a map of the home where we'll place where everything goes. This artwork.
Little arrows.
Little arrows.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we also do a very large spreadsheet that details everything as far as the quantities, the item numbers, the order number that it was placed on, just to help homeowners keep track as things start coming in and dealing with that end of things too. So we organize everything all together. And then we work with you to really see what you think of this space. And if you want to make any alterations or if you have any questions, we'll go through a little bit of adjustments. And then once it's approved, it's all systems go.
Awesome. Yeah. So what are some tips and tricks? I know, for instance, for our properties, you really went on big on the wallpaper.
Yeah.
I know the wallpaper is the initial thing that comes in when people walk in. That's the first thing they see in all the properties that you guys have designed for us.
Yep.
And that's usually, we work backwards. That's always, as Heather mentioned, that's our inspiration. And sometimes people may say, you know what, that sounds a little daunting. Maybe we'll just do an accent wall. And if that's the case, we've done a lot of intricate trim work, board and batten accent wall colors that also help pop. And then we work backwards off of the wall and we tie in coordinating colors from there. So that could mean if we have an accent blue wall with trim work above the headboard, we have a very unique statement piece on the rug. So we never neglect. We like to say, start from the wall, and work your way backwards. Never neglect your lighting fixture. We have so many clients that come in and say the lights are fine, yet they're $49 boob lights from Home Depot.
The boob lights. That is the most daunting thing in design, the boob light. I didn't know that anybody else called it that. That's so funny.
Yeah, accurate.
I will take $50 off your design fee if we can just replace this light. Because it's true. It's you're walking in the space, and that's your statement piece from the ceiling down. And
so don't cut corners. I think that's a big part. Owners always try to cut corners.
Mm-hmm. And there's a way that we can certainly work with existing pieces, whether it's existing solid wood dressers, and we have the local handyman sand them down, and we recommend paint colors. In fact, for our first ocean, the boutique hotel on the ocean, we used all of the original nightstands and dressers, and we just painted them. There's paint that some paint brands, they don't even ask you to sand it. So it's a simple solution, and you're getting that quality product.
100%.
And it's green.
Yeah, 100%. So we were talking about the light fixtures is really important. What else is important in the design? There's the accent walls, there's the light fixture. Assuming that you do big furniture first.
Yep. So for instance, starting in our living room, as an example, we have your wallpaper, your couch, and remember, especially in the STR world, we're never going to put a white couch, even if it's umbrella fabric. We always tend to go a little bit darker on your heavy seating areas. And especially in the dining room, a little tip, try to avoid upholstered dining chairs unless it's a deep navy blue or a black. And we have certain commercially rated products that we use time and time again. But from your living room, we like to do a cozy seating area. People are on vacation, whether it's a family or a large group. So we have sleeper sectionals or sleeper sofas in your living room, which is important. Not that more heads is the name of the game always, but if the home can fit an extra 1 or 2 people from having a sleeper sofa, that's certainly crucial. We also bring in cozy seating in the living room. So we have 1 or 2 different accent chairs, and we like to do either an 8x10 or a 9x13, depending on the size of the room, area rug, just so it's cozy under their feet. And then from the TV, we always recommend mounting your TV with a vibrant piece under the TV, whether it's a TV console or a sideboard table or just another unique piece. Yeah. But we tend to put way too many pillows in all of our things.
We love texture, we love textiles, and again, we start with with bedding, especially that clean, crisp white base, because it's bleachable. People like to know that it's bleachable, but we have a lot of fun with the pillows and the blankets, layering in the texture and the color there.
And in your bedroom, especially for photos, we don't necessarily keep a knit throw blanket at the foot of the bed, but for photos, it's worth going to Home Goods or Target to get that $20 throw blanket, because Heather said we do always use white crisp bedding, so it just gives it that extra pop for photos.
Yeah, and that pop is important. It's funny that you mentioned the rugs. I know that I've never played around with outdoor rugs ever. And when you guys place those outdoor rugs at that outside for that area, the little furniture deck that we have, which we'll talk about later, that made me feel so much at home. It felt like I was inside almost, but then I had that beautiful view. It was amazing. And that rug made a huge difference. Yeah.
It's to ground everything.
So how do you make a home feel cozy?
We love to layer in plants. All of our designs, we typically have a decent line item budget for plants, whether it's floor plants or succulents on the wall, on the shelves. But like we had mentioned, in your living room, it's not just furniture. You have your throw blanket draped casually over the chair. You have all of your extra pillows, and don't skip on the windows either. Or curtain panels, you can get a set for 2 windows for $50, but it just brings more color, but also people want privacy, and they want to be cozy. They want to cozy up on the couch, close the drapes, and and enjoy their stay.
Yeah, privacy is a big thing with Airbnbs. And so We talked about the big furniture pieces in the living room, for instance. What goes after the big pieces? What's next after that? What's the decor items that you guys choose or to make the space complete? Because I think at the end of the day, it's not complete without the decor. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, completely. Because I think when something, there are design styles that do call for that. If you're a minimalist, you certainly don't want to overlayer with the decor, but I think it fills in the gaps and it makes it feel a lot less sterile and makes it people feel more at home, having some of these extra layers of beautiful lamps or vases in on a table, having those plants, it softens the space. So it seems like it might be a frivolous line item, but it actually brings a lot of comfort to a space.
And we actually stage our dining spaces with a whole place setting. And even though it's only 2 people renting, we stage it for 4. So when they come in, it's okay. They were waiting for us, we're prepared, and it just makes it a little more fun.
Yeah.
But also, we've been having fun with gallery art walls. We typically buy sets of 5 to 7 or a couple sets, and we may have a wall with 14 pieces of art on it and sporadically on the walls.
Yeah. And again, we'll give you the map.
That's the big thing is all these pictures came in. It's funny because so Krysten and Heather just pretty much order everything and it all comes in at once. And there's like 1,000 boxes in the house. And I remember going through all the boxes and opening up so many art pieces. Like picture frames. And there's so many that are a collective of one. And it's so nice to have that map where everything goes. So it's a lot easier to really know like how to scatter it even. But it does make a difference. You guys are really big on so there's a big thing about colors. I see a lot of colors in pillows. I see accent wall colors. I see colors everywhere. You guys are not afraid of colors. I will just say that, Blaine. And there is a lot of blue. But that's more of a neutral color, I'm assuming. It matches pretty well with everything. But the yellows and the oranges, and people might be put off by that. What do you think about those pops in color and how you use it to actually make it match the space and not make it too overwhelming and too dated?
There's certainly a way to design in a tasteful way. And one piece of advice is we're not designing for your personal home. If you went to my home, you would see 50 shades of ivory in light gray and natural wood tones. And that's not the case in this industry. We have the ability to be so creative, but that doesn't mean we're painting a room school bus yellow. We incorporate color in a tasteful way. And it could be a touch of yellow on your pillows or yellow and blue in your rugs, but we know the colors that pop and we know the colors that really help make an impact when people enter a space.
Yeah. And I will use my space as an example for when people book my property and Joshua Tree as a whole, there's a lot of beige, a lot of beige colors. And those colors don't really stand out comparison to my blues and yellows and all like that really gets people's attention. So my click-through rates went off the roof just because I incorporated color. And so that's so important to throw that color in there, not only because of the making it cute, but also because it's going to get clicks. People, and I will say cleaners have come into the house and mentioned, whoa, this does not look like a Joshua Tree Airbnb because they don't see those colors in the mural, not the murals, the wallpapers. They asked me, where do you get the wallpapers from and all this kind of stuff? It's so funny.
It's a secret. It certainly makes an impact.
It does.
Yeah. So what colors do you guys recommend putting in an Airbnb? Does it matter based on the market or?
I think it does based on the market. Certainly something in Joshua Tree would be a lot different than what we're doing in the Disney market or in a tropical Fort Lauderdale market. So we tend to do blues, teals. I wouldn't necessarily do a yellow in a Fort Lauderdale. In the mountain log cabins and chalets, We introduced a lot of wood tones, and it's okay to mix and match wood tones, but also some warm, rich colors in a cabin.
Or emeralds and.
And so let's go to the outdoor space now. I know that's a big draw for Airbnbs these days. You can't just have a basic house. It needs to have an experience tied into it. So let's talk about the garage and let's talk about the outdoor space. How do you guys approach different spaces and utilizing it to the best ability for pictures and for experiences?
One thing we recommend for a garage, if you have sufficient parking, whether it's street parking or parking in your driveway, then utilize that space as an extra amenity. What we did, for instance, in your property is we made it a game room, a glow-in-the-dark game room for that matter.
The sparkly star sky.
You have the LED twinkle sky. We usually recommend that our clients re-epoxy the floor and they add, whether it's glitter or some vibrant glow-in-the-dark colors. There's so many options for that, but with a black light, the colors just pop and it's immersive. We did, in one of our game rooms, we did an avatar theme, and you don't have to be in a particular market for that. You could do avatar, you could do sports, you could do Avengers. Your market is the golf theme. But as soon as people open up the door to the garage, they have hanging plants that come just above their heads. We had some sounds going. So when they walk in, it's completely immersive visually, but also what they're hearing and what they're seeing. And then of course you have your skee ball, your arcade, your air hockey, whatever games, but all of the other elements that surround it just make it so unique.
And then the outdoor space is like adding a whole other living room and game space, depending on how big of an area you have. But I think it's a whole other element. And I know when I'm traveling, that's something I like to look for, because especially if you're in an area where it's a beautiful outdoor, you're getting better weather. We're in New England, so getting out of this weather, you want to be outside. I think it's such an important piece of that. And so we do like to put in a lot of really comfortable outdoor furniture. We've even done in your space outdoor sleeping areas so that if people wanted to sleep outside at night, they can. So being creative with that, a lot of hammocks and using color again through throw pillows or the rugs. And then there's also some amazing furniture that you can get that comes in really great colors as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. It came together really well. So the outdoor space is phenomenal. I can't wait. We have pictures, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
You'll have to share the link.
Yeah. And so I will say, I actually have a case study myself for design versus non-design properties. And one of my properties, I decided to self-design. And I never believe, I'm one of those people that just wants to not cheap out, but I didn't want to spend the money. I really didn't want to spend the money. It was too much. And I really just went the cheaper route. It was still a nice property and we still spent money where we needed it in the renovation, but on the design and the decor, I didn't think decor was that important. Because of that, when you walk into the space, people feel it. And you could feel, whoa, it's empty. It feels empty. And I know that space is going to need a redesign later down the road. So I got you guys. But as of now, it's struggling. And the property that I use designers, I use you guys and other designers as well for my other properties. Honestly, it's night and day. I'm getting so many more bookings. And it's in this market, I just can't imagine that my properties alone do more bookings than 30 other properties that my pool guy has. 30, 40, I think it was 40. Wow. 40 properties that my pool guy has, and we have more check-ins off of our 3. Wow. That's insane. Just because of design. So I will say it is so critical. I'm not just saying that, but I see that it's 2x'd the return. And I'm a numbers guy. So when I saw those numbers, I realized, you know what? I thought I overspent when I first listed it. And I thought I was screwed. And the moment the bookings started flowing in, and the moment I got more reviews, and then I got more notice, and the bookings really started coming in, wow. I was shocked. I was so happy that I did do that, even though at the time it felt like I lost money on this project. So maybe you guys can tell me from your experience, maybe Krysten, your Orlando property that you designed.
Yeah.
How does that differ in revenue numbers, if you know the numbers, in comparison to other properties that are like comps on your block or within a mile?
Yep. To be very transparent with this one, if we cut out even a quarter of what we did, we wouldn't be performing as we are today. With renovations, it was certainly a hefty budget, but we knew that in that particular market, we needed to do everything we could to make it stand out.
What is it, 30,000 rentals in Orlando?
Yes. Yeah, 25 to 30. And there were months this year that we were fully booked. I think we're projected to make about 300,000 this year.
Woo! It's amazing.
It's crazy because of the amount of, and we don't typically share those numbers, but if we added some paint and a new bed and a new couch here and there, and we didn't have those immersive themes, we would be buried. We would probably be on the 30th page of Airbnb. And you'll see the properties, not just our property, but the ones that really spent not only the time, the money, but put that extra level of detail in the space. They're the ones that are rocking it.
Yeah. So can you maybe talk about what numbers other people on your block are pulling for like comps? Is it like in the 200s, 150?
Probably about half. Yeah. When we were initially looking, I know our goal was maybe 180 to 200. So we're on track to hopefully get to that 300. We still have some availability, but again, it's also not about your overall occupancy. We would rather have fewer bookings and be getting a higher revenue per night. And people always ask us, what's your occupancy? If you're 95% occupied, but you're only getting $100 a night as opposed to $900 a night, and you're 60% occupied, it's less wear and tear on the home. And we're pretty careful when we're selecting our guests and who we're approving.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer if this is too sensitive information, but can you maybe talk about how much you guys spent on design? Like what's reasonable and how big the property was?
So this property was an 11 bedroom. Yep. And for design, believe it or not, the home was brand new. There was somebody that lived there that rented it out during COVID for about 6 months, and they trashed it. So we ended up needing to repaint the entire home, and we replaced all of the carpet with vinyl plank flooring. Not only that, I can give you a snapshot of our Mario loft game bedroom. So that loft area sleeps 5 people. And we had a muralist who was very well known in the Miami market come, and I found him on Instagram. I actually interviewed a couple people, and he was just so wildly creative, and we loved everything about him. So he came and did all of the immersive wall painting from ceiling to the floor. And then we had a builder who was actually laid off from Disney during COVID, and he helped to build stage sets and ride entryways of the rides. And he built 4 of the beds in our home. And we gave him this vision and said, we want the Mario tube slide. We want the remote control. We want it all. And they just brought it to life. But that custom bed was about, not as much as you would think, that was about $5,000. Obviously you have your mattresses on top of that, but finding those local partnerships with local handymen, carpenters, contract workers, those, you have to have those in your back pocket in these markets. It looks like it would have cost $30,000 to build that bed, and it was maybe five to 6,000. And I'd say another 3,500 for the paint for that space. Wow. So we're not talking a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not about the money here, about the person that's doing it. It's about being creative and thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so So basically what we're trying to say is design is important. I'm not trying to pitch OnDesign and saying, hey, you need to go with OnDesign. I'm just saying, if you're not a designer, don't try to be a designer if you're not. That's what I'm trying to say. And hire somebody that can do that for you, that you trust and you like working with, and that does custom stuff, not just basic stuff. Because short-term rental design is very different from long-term rental design.
Exactly.
Can you maybe talk about how design differs for short-term rental versus long-term rents, or for single-family home, for a family, for instance?
Yeah. I feel like it's residential in particular, that's a lot more to do with personal taste. So that's, and somebody's living in that home, so that's their day-to-day. So it's an entirely different approach, and you're really looking at it more practically, I think, with residential design. Still beautiful, but I've heard somebody say that part of the reason they don't love doing that kind of design is you almost turn into a marriage counselor, because you're helping with everybody's personal tastes. And trying to appeal to that. And when on the flip side, again, it's really trying to appeal to those demographics and a broader spectrum of people, but again, giving them a surprise so you can be a bit more playful. And then commercially designing that way, I think there's a lot of in between. You're trying to appeal the client, but you're also still trying to stand out online. So it's almost like short-term rental gets to be that extreme, gets to be the really fun, the wild, it's the MTV of interior design.
Yeah.
And I will say the best clients or the best investors to work with are those that don't come in with a 3-page list of must-have and I want these items in it to be laid out this way and these colors. The best clients to work with are those that say, do what you need to do to give us the best return on our investments.
How was our conversation?
Which you did.
Yeah.
I honestly, for those that are listening, I literally just, the first meeting, I think I just said, guys, take it away. I don't give a shit. Honestly, just make it as badass as you can. Just think of the craziest shit. I don't care. Just do it. And they brought their game, they brought their level. And for instance, and I will say, because when I was sitting on that furniture deck, I was thinking in my head, I was looking at the view and I was like, fuck, I don't think anybody else in my market does this. I don't think anybody else has a furniture deck. It's so basic, but it's like nobody in my market does this. They have full decks. They have hot tub decks. That's very common. But nobody has a furniture deck just to chill and hang out.
It's a full outdoor living room.
And it's so far away from the house, so it's like your own space. You can be in a serenity of nature,
but very comfortable.
And so I think with creativity, this is a big thing that I've noticed with creativity, is you never limit creativity. The moment that somebody limits creativity by having very specific set parameters, and it's okay to have parameters more or less, like budget, or more or less what kind of theme you're going for. But creativity should never be limited, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So with creativity, let's talk about that. How do you ever feel that your creativity ever goes away, that you get writer's block? Or
we're marketers by heart.
I was going to say maybe for like an hour and a half when
take a stroll.
Not long term. No, there's definitely times where you have to kind of stop and walk away from something and revisit it. But that doesn't, I wouldn't say that's creativity. I think sometimes there's too much creativity and you have to actually edit yourself. That happens to me quite a bit.
I have to reel her in
sometimes. When I'm designing, I almost have I have a junk page, so I'll see something I like and just save it and be like, I'm going to use this at some point in this design. So sometimes sorting through that, but I don't think there's any cap on creativity in this market, especially because we have our hands in so many different things, whether it's designing in the desert or designing for Disney or designing in New England and in an antique home. I think and being creative people, it feeds us. That's where I get my energy from. So it's a rewarding thing to get to be creative every day. It's something I've wanted my whole life, so it's an honor. But I don't think that it's been tapped out yet.
And in addition to creative, it's okay to be quirky.
Yes.
And
whimsical.
Yeah. Sometimes people are like, wait, what? They really have that.
And it bleeds through the design. It shows. And yeah, I like the fact that there is a theme. You guys have a standard theme for all my properties. So when people stay in my properties, they know they're staying in my properties.
Exactly.
It's funny.
That's the branding in us.
Yeah, it is branding. It is branding. So I wanted to ask, because we're finishing up here now, I wanted to ask what your favorite amenity / design that you've created that you're very proud of for a client.
Let's see.
It's like picking a favorite.
I know.
Picking a favorite child.
I think one of the things I really loved, and it sounds so simple, but in the mountain house, I got to ship a chairlift from Colorado all the way to the Smoky Mountains. And it was this beautiful chairlift. It has the hanging hook and it's an antique that they refinished into a bench that we created into an Instagram space. So it's just this cool space to chill, but it is very impactful. And I loved the way that came out. Yeah.
Why don't you guys ship anything for our
tight timeline. Let's see. Probably our ice castle bedroom that we had custom foam acrylic icicles dripping from the bed.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's not branded for a particular movie, Frozen. It's more immersive. So you don't necessarily see the characters. When you walk in the room, you feel like you're in the movie. We also did another Avengers type superhero room where it looks like you're in a downtown New York City apartment and the Hulk broke half of the windows and half of the apartment and you're standing above overlooking the city and you see there's a lot going on in that one.
Yeah.
But the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
That's
design is so much fun. You guys have the best job. That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite project? Let's talk about full project for a client. What is a favorite project you've worked on?
Ooh. I don't think I could say that because they're all like their own little work of art. I don't think I could.
I think the one that's most sentimental for me was probably our first hotel flip because our goal was to blend old and new. We talked about how we refinished a lot of the furniture in the space and we had guests who had been coming there and they're now in their 80s, but also the 20-somethings coming to rent. And it was equally as exciting for both sets of avatar or demographics to enjoy the space.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was just such a rewarding experience to see their face hanging out on the swing chair on the deck. And so that was probably my favorite.
That is amazing. And so for the people that are listening, what is a book that you recommend that people read? It doesn't have to be real estate, short-term rental related, just in general.
My husband would be proud of me. Rich dad, poor dad.
That's a big one.
Yeah, something that he has turned me onto that and preaches in our household. And
it's the Bible. You literally walk out. It's just like the kids have to read it once a week.
Yeah. I'm gonna fail at this question because I'm nerdy, but I do a lot of fiction reading.
What's your favorite fiction book? What's your favorite fiction book then?
Favorite fiction book? Harry Potter is a wonderful book. I was a nerd about that for a long time. I loved A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. I think that was one of the first big books I ever read as like a child. And it is the story of a woman's life. And I don't know, I feel like that one has the message of that book has always stayed with me. I love that.
What was the message?
You can start in a difficult place, but your life can still be very beautiful.
I love that.
I love that because there's so much you can learn from that. And
Yeah.
fiction is so much, I don't know if easier is the way to say it, but it's more fun to read, I feel like.
Yeah, agreed.
So, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what piece of advice would you guys give to people listening?
Our number one piece of advice.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
We'll say it in unison. Don't be afraid of color.
No. And design as if it's not your home, and allow that liberty.
Yeah. And trust your designer.
Yeah.
100%. Trust your designer, guys. That's sorry, this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's in captions. Trust your designer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been times where I've worked with a designer and halfway through, I'm thinking to myself, God, they love to spend money. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Do we really need this? And
Yes.
thank God I trusted them and just said, you know what, let's just do it. And it paid off. So I agree.
Let's just put 8 throw pillows on your bed.
Yeah. It took a little convincing to have 30 pillows. And I swear there's around 30 pillows in your design, but it worked out at the end of the day. And even though there's a lot of pillows, I'm hoping guests will comment about it. Oh my God, so many pillows. And I'll be like, thank God I trusted them. It's listen to your mother. It's like, finally, it came in handy. So last thing, where are you guys headed? What's the future look like for you guys?
We are growing our team, as always.
Yeah.
Taking on a lot of new designs in different parts of the country, tapping into different markets, which is always amazing. I think our biggest project over the next 60 days will be tapping into the new hotel and getting our hands dirty with renovations. If you know anybody on HGTV, let us know.
So where is this location?
It's north of Boston.
Yeah.
North of Boston.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a hot market. It's actually one of our favorite markets.
Yeah.
So more to come on that.
Ooh,
But we will have some really unique themes.
Yeah.
Which is very unusual in this particular market, but we know what people want over here. So that'll be our little baby over the next few months.
Huge opportunity in boutique hotels.
Yeah.
That's a sneak peek.
Yeah, you've been tapping into that as well.
100%. I've been seeing the benefits of it. So this is a big trend that's happening even through everyone that's talking on this podcast. It's very popular. So there might be a reason. Maybe there's a lot of ugly motels out there that just need a redesign.
This one's really ugly.
Yeah. Can't wait for the before and afters. It's gonna be great. So for the before and afters and everybody listening, or if people have questions, where can they reach you?
You can reach out to us on Instagram. It's OnDesign Interiors. Our website is ondesigninteriors.co.
Yeah.
And we're here to answer questions. We also, if you log onto our website, we do also have a free Facebook group specifically for Airbnb design. So we love to see new investors come in. It's a lot of, we just closed on our first Airbnb, help me. We're free resources. We also have free room designs on our website for those that that need a little help, but are okay with some guidance. So we have some links and free designs on the website.
Yep.
Ooh. And Instagram for pictures. Design and pictures just go well together, right? What's the Instagram?
It's at OnDesign Interiors.
_design interiors.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody
throw
can
that underscore in there.
Yeah.
a little underscore. Somebody stole it. Thanks so much for coming on. I know it's an hour of your time, but you guys have been amazing, not only in the projects that we work on, just in general, as giving so much knowledge back to the community and just always being there. And so I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah.